Hey, so welcome everyone to this recitation class for the CS 101 course. And today we have a quick revision about the conditionals and control flows in Python. So today we'll go through some important things that you should know when working with the if statement, like the logical condition, the if, else, and else structure, the shorthand if and shorthand if else, the false values, the is and or not logical operator, and lastly, the past statement. So now I would like to have some students in the class to be in charge of each of these. Being able to teach your friends is one of the most effective ways to learn yourselves. Also, remember to include some common mistakes so that you and your friends can reinforce the knowledge and avoid them better in the future. So, who wants to start?
Let me, Professor.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So, hello class, my name is Hoàng Thảo, and today I will lead the discussion in logical conditions in mathematics, if-else, else-if structures, and a new way of expressing them, known as shorthand if and if-else. So first, we will look at logical condition in mathematics using some mathematical comparison operators like equal, not equal, or less than. These conditions are commonly used together with if-else, else-if structures, and then I will elaborate more on their uses in the upcoming part. When we look at the if statement, we know that by definition, they allows for conditional execution of a statement or a group of statements based on the value of an expression. If it passed through the if statement, it will execute the statements inside the if statement and then go outside. But then if it not passed through the if statement, it will instantaneously execute the statement outside the if statement. Here I have an example, but then I fail to execute. Do you know why? Dan, can you help me?
Well, I think it's missing a column.
Yeah, I totally agree. Missing a colon in the if statement is very common syntax error. But then, if we can fix that problem, we can run the code smoothly. And as I said, when it passes through the if statement, execute the statement below the if statement, or else it will exit the if statement block to execute the codes outside. Another one is the if-else statement. We use it when we have additional checkpoints for our expression. If a specified condition is true, we will execute the statement in the if statement. Otherwise, another block of code under else statement can be executed, and then it will finish. And when it finishes, it will exit the if-else statement. Here is also a common error of syntax error. Remember that you cannot put the expression in the else statement. Okay, remember that. And here's the solution, which pass through the if statement. If, else, and else statement is another case where we can handle the situation where you want more complicated condition checks. Python allows adding any number or else clause after an if and before an else clause. If a specified condition is true, it executes statement in if. If statement is not passed, it will pass the test expression to the else if statement. Otherwise, another block of code under else statements can be executed. Here I will present two other common errors. The first one is the error under the syntax error. Do you know what it is? Yeah, it is the indentation error. Remember that for if, else, and else, they should have the same indentation level, except for the nested if, else, else later. The second one is a very detrimental but very common logical error. If and else statements share the same domain, which is share the same space, which is the 110. So the result will not be comprehensive due to Python's line-by-line operation. Now I will talk about the new technique to write if and if-else statement, known as shorthand if, else, or in other words, ternary operators or conditional expression. Shorthand if and shorthand if else is the same as the common if or if else statement. If you have only one statement to execute, you can put it on the same line as the if statement. If you have only one statement, one for if and one for else, you can put it all on the same line. It also applies to multiple statements in one line. So here is one example of using the shorthand if. Here is the normal code when we use if else clause. And here is very common mistake in terms of the syntax. When we try to convert that, apply the shorthand if to shorthand if else. But then remember that the correct code should be the statement under if, and then the if statement, and then else, and then the statement under else. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. They are all really useful sharings. Anyone have another notes to share with your friends?
Well, let's get into the four values. I will show you how Python evaluate some four values. To the first part, I will show you how this program works. It will print true, condition is true if the condition equal to true, and then it will print false if the condition is not true, like that. So let's pass none to the condition, and we can see here Python evaluate it as a false. Next, we will pass 0 to the condition, and Python will print condition is false. So let's try another numerical values. I will randomly take 11, then it will print true. So remember that for the numerical values, Python will evaluate them as true except for 0. Then finally, for empty sequences, they are also evaluated as full values, such as empty string here, then empty tuple here, and lastly empty list. Yeah. So I have shown you all the values that Python would consider as a false. So everything apart, those values would be a true. So I have a question for you guys. What will be printed for this program? Can Ming answer this for me?
So I think the answer should be condition is false because 0 is same as false.
Nice try, Ming, but you're wrong. Because here you can see it's not an empty string. It has a value inside it, so it will print the condition is true. Yeah, it is.
Okay, thank you so much for your sharing. Anyone have anything else?
Hi, Professor.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Moving to the next part, which is my discussion. In terms of logical operators, there are three things that we have to notice. The first thing is AND, which will return true if both statements are true. Next, OR, which returns true if one of the statements is true. And finally, NOT, which reverses the result, means that returns false if the result is true. So let's take a look at the example below. Because 3 more than 5 is false and 4 more than 3 is true. So the answer is false because only the second statement is true. But when we're using OR, the result will true because we only need one true statement. And the next, because the previous answer is true, so when we're using NOT, it will reverse the result, which will execute as false. So moving to the problem one, write a program to check a number X, okay? So this is the given solution. You guys can see it. But when I compute with the value 21, why is it true? I think it's supposed to be false because 21 cannot be divisible by 4, 6. Can you guys answer it for me?
I think it's because you are missing the parentheses in the condition.
Okay, yeah. When we add some parentheses to debug this code, the result will be false. This is the semantic error, which is poor understanding in using logical operators. You guys understand? Okay. Next. This is the next part, which is about identity operators. In this part, we have two things to notice. The is, which return true if both variables are the same object, and is not if vice versa. So let's take a look at example. Can you guys see it? The first one is x is z is true because x and z are the same object since z is assigned with the value of x. But the next, when we print x is y is false. What is false? Because they are not the same object, they just have the same value in the list. And finally, when we're using the double equal sign operator, means that we want to compare the value of two variables, which is Vietnam, China, and USA. So the answer will be true. Okay. Next, moving to the problem 2. Can you guys see that? And this is my code. I do not think that the -1 and -2 are not the same object, but the result is yes. So what's wrong with that?
Well, I think you using double equal sign is wrong. You should use it instead.
Okay. Yeah. The problem is, if we want to compare the two objects, we have to use is instead of double equal sign. So the result should be false. Okay. So this is the final part in my discussion, which is that statement. The past statement is used as a placeholder for the future code. See the example. Because, 5 is more than 3 is true. So the past statement will be executed. So it moves to the line which exchange the result of x to y and y to x. And so now 3 is more than 5 is false. So it will execute the else statement, which is we will print the x less than y, and that is the output of this code. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. These are all the basics knowledge that you guys should know when working with the if statement. So anyone have any question? Okay, if not so, anyone have any new things to share with your friends?
Okay, so I think I will go next. So next, I will talk about the guard cloud technique. So what is the guard cloud technique? So this is a pattern that provides a super simple way to clean up your code. And this technique can be applied in many different programming language such as Java or Python, but it have the similar advantage is significantly improve the maintenance and readability of your code by reducing the else function and simplify your code. So to help you to have a better understanding about this technique, we will have a small example here. So here we want to create a function that collect input from user and then put them into different categories. And so in this example, we will collect user school, age, and gender, and after that we will divide them into 4 categories: valid subject, female Win Union but older than 20, Win Union but not a female, and finally is not a Win Union. So it's a normal way we usually create a function like this. So we'll see that is real hard to read, confusing, and when you write the code, it's very hard for you to keep track of the right if and else statement. Nevertheless, this is only a simple code, and with the more complex one, it also creates a negative impact on the one who reads your code. So this can be enforced. This can be refactored to eliminate the need of the else clause by inverting the logic of the if statement and then putting the exception throwing statement inside the if statement. So the result will look like this. So we can see here is we are inverting the logic if statement. For example, here Win Union at first will equal to Win Uni, but then after that we will change to Win Uni is different to Win Uni. Oh, sorry, Uni is different from Win Uni. So As you can see here, the code is now much more readable and easier to change. However, you also need to be careful when you apply this technique that sometimes you cannot change the order of the if statement, of the if columns. For example, if you change the age from larger or equal 20 before the gender is true here, the result will be wrong. So on the left is the correct answer is Venerean but not a female. But if you change the order of it will print the wrong answer. Is female Venerean but age is larger than 20. So that is something that we should caution when we apply this technique. Yeah, and this is the thing that I want to share with you guys.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so these are our own really useful sharings. And to sum up, so in this lecture, we have been able to revise the logical conditions, the if-else and else-if structure, the is and or not logical operator, and the false values in Python. Also, we can practice the past statement, and we also know about the shorthand if and shorthand if-else, the gold clause technique. And lastly, we can identify some common errors like the syntax, the semantic, or the logical error. So thank you guys so much for joining this recitation class.